I'll tell the story about when I first met you.
Yes, okay.
Okay. So, when I decided I wanted to be an artist, there were a few things that lined up for me perfectly. One of the things I really wanted to do was become a member of the Saskatchewan Craft Council. So I took my beaded items and my fur items and drove to Saskatoon, me and my husband, and went, and there was two ladies that were going to jury my work.
There.
So we talked briefly, and then I had to leave, and then when I came back, Ruth didn't like my beadwork. Really? So I'm a juried member with my fur work, but I'm not a member of my beadwork yet. And I got home. Oh no, I was still there, and Ruth was also looking for somebody to mentor. And I was looking for something like that as well. At that point, I was making things for my Trapline Creations business, and I'd show things to my family and friends, and they just loved everything I made. And I wanted to do a bit more, but I didn't know how to do it. So when Ruth asked me to be a mentor, to be her mentee, I was all over that. I was like 100%. I need to. Yeah, so I didn't know who you were. I got home and I Googled Ruth Cuthand. And I'll finish that story in a bit. Okay. Around the same time, another thing happened. I got my jewelry in the Remy Modern gift store, and that was a huge deal for me. It still is. And so Baralco Radio had a free day. I could go in to the Remy Modern for free. So my husband and I, we packed up the kids. I can't remember, 2 kids came, I think, and friends. And we toured the gallery. I got selfies with my jewelry in the gift store, just so proud, and looked around the gallery, left, and I was asking the kids, like, what was the best thing you've seen in that gallery? Like, what was the funniest thing? What did you love in there? And so we talked about that, and I was laughing, and I was like, I seen this big, not even a big, it was like this stack of wood in this white room, and I was laughing, and I was like, holy smokes, like, we got that at home. Like, I didn't understand what that was. It was a stack of wood in a big white room, and I've got that out back at home. And so I laughed and I said, art is so useless. And then in my second thoughts was, I need to make that. I need to figure that out. Not having the understanding, I didn't understand the purpose of it. I didn't understand why, what made that art. So I had that really wanting to learn, and I'm like, what goes on inside an artist's brain to think of the things that they think and make the things that they make and do the things that they do. So I get home and COVID hits and I'm caught up on my orders. I have time. We start our mentorship. And I get...
It was sponsored by Carfax.
Oh, yeah. We went through Carfax, graciously sponsored us, yeah. And so I get home and try and figure this out. So back to the previous story, when I first met Ruth, I get home, I Google Ruth Cuthand. And the first thing I see is, I'm not the Indian you're looking for. on your bio, on your website.
Yeah.
And that was the most brazen thing I'd ever seen. And I liked it. I really liked it. I was like, that's so bad. Like, it's so bad that it was so good. And I'm like, what? Who is this woman? So then I Googled more, like, what's she making? What does she do? Who is she? So I read your bio. You weren't the Indian I was looking for. And then I'm looking and I'm like seeing these beaded viruses and I'm like, oh my gosh, she makes useless things too. I still am not having that concept of understanding what art is. So Ruth graciously, before I talk about how gracious you are, I have to be careful when I talk about how useless art is, especially when my husband is here, because his name is Art. And I like to say he's not useless. So yeah, I just like to clarify that. So we're riding home in the same vehicle, and I love Art. So yeah, with our mentorship, you graciously allowed me to pick your brain, to like see into your brain, and it turns out you were the Indian I was looking for. You were. Yeah, so that's, yeah, you taught me a lot of things. I remember coming to your bead hives, because you're the beading queen. She had bead hives. It's just natural. And yeah, I beaded the biggest piece, I think, when we met. I was beading like moccasin vamps. So not very big beadwork on those vamps. They're pretty small, but so it was always like bead bigger, bead bigger, bead bigger. So I always think of that whenever I'm beading and whenever I'm thinking or praying on a new project. I'm always like, okay, how can I make this bigger? How can I still don't know. But also to have fun. I remember you saying to have fun with it. And that's what I'm really trying to focus on as well, is to have fun doing what I do. And because sometimes the topic isn't that easy. And sometimes I don't have the words to say what I really want to say. So when I can create and it comes out through my creativity and in beads, that's a lot easier for me, and I can get it out of my head. Then on to the next thing. Yeah.
I'll tell you my side of the story. I was asked to jury. There were two women who by the craft people. And so I went, and the first woman wasn't very interesting in the things she was doing. She said that she came up with the patterns, but I have a lot of beading books, and I know that wasn't true. And then Marcy came in, and I was kind of interested in Marcy because there was something about her that I just was trying to figure out what was going on. And so I looked at the work, we talked about it, and I sort of started like a critique just to kind of push in to see if it hurt her feelings, if she could take it or not. And she did. It was amazing. I was like, whoa. For a person who hasn't gone to art school, there's something there. And so when she came back in, I told her that I was looking for somebody to mentor, and I was wondering if she was interested. And she said, oh gosh, she says that a lot. Oh gosh, yes. And what is it called? The craft place on Broadway in Saskatoon. The woman, she went on, she said, I'll look for a mentorship. And we got it. And it was during COVID, which was good, because I don't really like people. Except for all of you. And Marcy used to come down to Saskatoon, and we'd meet and talk, and I'd show her some things, and she'd bring me walleye, which was really good. Yes, that was what I was in it for. It's the walleye. But I had been teaching at First Nations University of Canada, and I had been teaching beading 100 and beading 200, Lucy? Yeah, and quill work. Lucy is my former student. She went through all that stuff with me. And I was teaching at Saskatoon campus, and so I was working with people who were in social work and doing their Indian studies degree. And so I was working with people who weren't really in it to be artists. And I had kind of thought about, like, I wanted the students to push beyond craft, right? Which, yeah, take that however you want. And so what I did was I got them to find a painting that they liked. And first I started out with they had to do 8 by 10 beading, and then I found out that was too big. And so it gradually got smaller till it was about 6 by 4. And what I wanted them to do is to become engaged in the beading rather than saying, okay, I'm going to use these 4 colors and I'm going to make these flowers and they're going to look like this. And so with the painting, they had to try and figure out what color beads they needed. And if they put a bead here and it was the wrong color, then they had to remove it. So going through that process was engaging their brains with the work and having to make creative decisions as they went along. And I found that was really, really successful. There were a lot of students who got their beadwork framed, gave it to their mums, which is good. And so then when I met Marcy, I knew there was a spark in her. There was something in her that I needed to access, whether she wanted me to or not. And when we started the mentorship, she was really, really reluctant to give. Like, I asked her to shut down
Trapline
Creations
Yeah.
for at least 2 months, and she was really resistant. And like, I understood, like, you know, when you're a woman and you need to make extra income. And
I was hungry.
yeah.
Money.
So finally she gave in reluctantly, and I remember we were in AKA in their boardroom, and I was asking her what was she interested in doing with her beadwork, and she started talking about mental health. And she had all these ideas that just came like tumbling out, all these ideas of moccasins that she wanted to make that would be only one moccasin, and the interior of the moccasin would reflect mental health. And so I was like really excited about that, and I really encouraged her, and she actually did it, and they were spectacular. I really loved them. Then what happened? Mentorship was over. We went our separate ways, never spoke again.
Yeah.
So we were invited to do a chapter for a book called Bead Talk, and what we decided was we would just chat, because I don't like to write, Marcy doesn't like to write, so through many trials and tribulations and Zoom not working, we finally got it done, and it was published, and we went to Ottawa for book signing and the opening of Radical Stitch, which is this major show of North American bead artists. And we were both in there. Yay. And it was a wonderful show. I really liked it. It actually opened in Regina. And so we were in Ottawa with all these bead artists, and it was pretty amazing. And Marcy just like got in there giving out cigarettes. No. And I was like so proud of Marcy. It's like her first traveling show at the National Gallery. It's like a big deal, and she's just in there talking to people, finding out things, and people just really reacted to her in a very, very positive way. Part of my philosophy with art is trying to get Indigenous people who are not in art school to move themselves into the art world, because there are people that can't go to university for whatever reasons. They don't finish high school, all kinds of things happen to them. So I try and mentor as many people as I can and help people with their work and try and get them to move out of like pin money, right? Like making little tiny things and selling them for, I don't even know what beadwork goes for anymore, those little pieces. And it's like, why are you killing yourself on little pieces when you could actually clear your mind and think about what you want to say? And I think beads are a really good way because, first of all, beads aren't very expensive, and you just need needle thread and a backing of some kind. And you can just bead, and it's an amazing thing. Plus, beading is it's meditative because you're by yourself and you're beading and thinking and beading and thinking. And that's why I do bead hives all over the place. I've done residencies. I was in Ottawa last summer, no, the summer before, and they asked me if I would do a bead hive, and I said sure. And I went there, and I kind of cobbled together beads from different people and needles. And I got there, and I was expecting 8 to 12 people, which is usually what shows up, and 38 people showed up. We ran out of needles. It was crazy.
That's a good problem to have.
Yeah. So it's like, and I'm actually the person that started contemporary beadwork, because I wanted to do something. I love beading. I love the colors. I love the sparkle, the depth of color, and I wanted to take it beyond just necklaces and stuff. And so I started off by beading the I think it's 7 or 8 diseases that came from the old world to the new world that decimated our populations. And I called that the trading series. And Mackenzie Art Gallery, they applied for a grant for painting. And it's a grant through Canada Council. And it was for $30,000 to purchase paintings for your gallery. And so they put my beadwork in there, and I was like, oh, I don't think that's going to get accepted. And they won the money. But I bought a vacuum cleaner and a used car. So beading is just like, for me, it's a gift that I have, and I just love to teach people and watch them open their minds and become more creative. And that's what I did to Marcy, poor girl.
Oh man, no, I am forever grateful and so thankful that you have that mind that you have and the want to share it, because it's a great world once you're in it. Yeah, it's great. Maybe we'll talk now about beaded cigarettes.
I'd just like to talk about your residency this summer.
Oh, yeah.
This summer.
You can smoke in here today all night.
This summer, Marcy did a residency at UBC Kelowna. And how many people were in your residency?
When I was there, they were kind of coming and going and overlapping, but probably 6.
6, yeah. she got to be with some of the bead artists in that group, and I know all of them. And I was talking to one of them, and they were saying, "Do you know Marcy Friesen?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I know Marcy Friesen." And they go, "You know, she's incredible. She's never been to art school. She doesn't know anything about art, but she is just so amazing." And all these people who teach in art departments in universities and that, and they're Indigenous, and Marcy just blew their little socks off. And I think what Marcy brings to the art world is like this really fresh, these really fresh ideas. Some of them are like contemporary. Her Kentucky Fried Chicken work, her cigarettes.
I would smoke Bepsi.
Bepsi. Yeah. And what I really like about this show is it's about family. It's about her and her dad and fishing and smoking. And that's a big thing in Marcy's memory, is fishing and smoking. And I love that.
Thank you. Yeah, I remember when I first called myself an artist, got into that world a little bit, got a taste, and I'm like, what is a curator? What is a... Like, I was Googling all this stuff. How many pieces do you need to have an exhibition? Like, just had to research, because it's such a different new world. Was such a different new world to me. So, yeah. I'll maybe talk about those pieces on that wall right there, those walleye, and how that series came to be. And I think that was probably the beginning of the cigarettes. So it's kind of how that all started. So what happened there with that series was it was my dad's last summer with us, and he camped on our yard and we went fishing. We're about half an hour away from a really good fishing hole where I grew up fishing. And so we fished a lot that summer, and it got to the point where I would throw my dad's walleye rig in and just wait. And so we'd snack. We were just sitting right in this spot here where I took this video. Sitting, waiting, snacking, sometimes visiting, but not even. We were just kind of sitting and looking at the view. He was smoking, snacking, I was snacking, and just eating chips. And I thought, oh man, Dad, the next fish we catch, I'm going to put a chip in its mouth. I'm going to take pictures and we're going to call it fish and chips. So I did that, and I put like Doritos and salt and vinegar, and I just love the look of that fish, that beautiful shiny fish that was so fresh out of the water with food in its mouth, and fish and chips just went. And I loved it, and I thought about that for a few days, and then the next time we were fishing, I had been thinking on that, and like, what else can I put in a fish's mouth? So I was like, same thing, we're fishing. Next fish, I'm like, Dad, can I borrow a cigarette? Like, I'm gonna light it and like put it in the fish's mouth. And so I did that, and like I asked my dad for a smoke, and he wasn't even like questioning me or anything. It was just like, yeah, I got a cigarette and lit it. It was just nasty, and but it was so cool to see this fish, and I like put it on the rocks really nice, and just took a lot of photos with it and different angles and stuff, and yeah, so then it kind of progressed. Those pieces on that wall are my dad's cigarettes. And then I eventually started making patches for them. I always look to advance what I'm doing. How can I change it? How can I make it better, I guess, in my mind? So then I wanted to, so I did the Studis, Godin, and the Bepsi can on them works in particular, but I have a lot more as well of like florals and stuff. So I ran out of my dad's smokes, and then part of me was like, oh, I seen Audie Murray had this like dirty pair of socks hanging up, and she had them big beaded smokes on the bottom. And so that was where I started thinking about the cigarette. Like, oh, maybe I think I'll bead some cigarettes. And then so I started doing that and placing them in the fish's mouth. So that is where that started. And I'm just having a lot of fun right now seeing what I can do with the cigarettes and the smokes. And I'm really trying to make it cool again. Children, it's cool. No, it's not cool. But yeah, so I'm having a lot of fun with the smokes, as you can see around here. These works here in particular just turned 50 a bit back, and I started thinking about my life. So I'm contemplating my life, and I started tying my lifeline to a cigarette. So I kind of look at it in my mind as this is my life, a full cigarette. And I'm kind of looking at it in different ways, actually. It's not just one way, but my mind keeps thinking and kind of changing as it goes. So just contemplating my life. This is what I'm given. And there's been times in my life that I've really wanted to like take really, really big, strong, hard drags to get through it, to get past it, to get by whatever it is I'm going through. And then there's been other times where I just want to sit and just let it burn. Just enjoy that time and enjoy that smoke rising gently off the smoke type of thing. And then we get to the end, whatever or whenever that is. And it might even be, you might get more than one ending in your life. This is my new thoughts now. I might get one more. Like, okay, I want to start over. Maybe I don't like that, butter out. I'm going to do that again. So like second chances type of stuff. So yeah, just contemplating life right now in general. And I think that probably had to do too with losing my dad and just really thinking about your life and the time that you're given and what you want to do in that time. Yeah. That's where I'm at right now. So here we got some contemplating. This is all stemming back from when I first started calling myself an artist, is when I got a grant through the Saskatchewan Sask Arts Board to make a pair of moccasins. And I had just started working with Ruth, and I got a grant, and I was like, wow, they gave me $1,000. Like, I bought a lot of beads. It was so exciting because I didn't have that many. And so I made this. I was trying to figure out what is my story? What am I going to talk about? Do I have a story? Do I want to tell my story? And this is where I was like starting to talk about mental health. My mental health struggles maybe in my family. And so I thought I'm going to make a pair. I think the first one I did was the mental health moccasins. And that was what I wrote the grant for, to make a pair of moccasins on my mental health. So I got it done. It was gorgeous. And I'm still in the thoughts of art is useless. I'm still in the thoughts of how can I make what I make useless, because I'm used to making gauntlets and hats and moccasins and mucklucks and whatever. And how can I make these useless? So I thought, I'm going to bead the inside of the moccasin. So I beaded the inside sole of the moccasin. I fully beaded the outside. I put a beaver pelt on the bottom and horsehair I braided around, all with specific ideas and thoughts in mind. It was all done with very on purpose. And I got it done, and it's beautiful. And part of it too was using bead soup, because Ruth said use bead soup, and she's like, you can even make your own bead soup. And that was like, whoa. I always thought that was done on by accident. And bead soup is just your mix of colors of beads that get mixed up. Anyway, I made my moccasin, and I thought, now I have to match it because I don't have a pair of moccasins. But then I thought, well, I'm kind of lazy. And I was like, well, what's more useless than one moccasin? So I don't like matching things. It's kind of hard, but that is kind of where I started my individual pieces. So I call those gauntlets over there my single ladies. That's also, where I started the singular items. And also, I thought that went really well with mental health. Singular pieces, because sometimes you really feel alone or you feel isolated, whether that's by other people or your own choice. So I just thought it was really fitting. So now I like to when I make moccasins, it'll be a singular moccasin. It will be like a singular gauntlet. And with the gauntlets, it was, okay, how can I make a pair of gauntlets useless? Well, it's one, for starters. And I thought, well, I'll bead the palms. So, and like, you can put them on and they fit and they're comfy and they're nice and warm and soft. But so they're still just single ladies and same as the moccasins. Yeah. So that's why I do that. Singular pieces. Yeah.
And that's why she's an artist.
So you figure that, that's why.
That's why she's an artist.
Well, that's chill.
Yeah, I can talk about the $5 bills. It's a bill C-35, 36? 35. Bill C-35, member of the Cumberland House Cree Nation. And I got my status probably about 4 years ago now. And so one thing about Treaty Days is for Cumberland House, we're given a $5 bill. And I think like a bag of flour and what else, Mom? Lard. Yeah, I've never gone to get it. So I'll take the 2-hour drive to go get my $5. Doesn't really make sense, honestly. But I also, part of that series is, you know what? Before I did the $5, I did another series, money. I beaded on a $5 bill and I beaded on a $100 bill. So the $5 bill, I beaded brown woman. And then the $100 bill, I beaded white woman. And man, I love asking people what they thought of that. I loved it so much. I think I like part of that is like, tell me what you think, what you really think. But in essence, that work, they were both me. Being a half-breed, I am a brown woman and I am a white woman. But the way that the world seems to value you by the color of your skin, I wanted to really make a visual for that, because nowhere would I ever be looked at as a white woman because of the color of my skin. And that was all when I was also working through some pieces, I think, to become more confident in my culture and to have more pride and to grow that pride. And for others to have that pride as well. But it was such a strong visual. And I remember my husband was like, what? We got extra money kicking around? When he seen I beaded on a $100 bill. I'm like, don't worry, we'll get it back. We'll sell it and we'll make some money. So this work here is also about indigenizing everyday things that we see. We don't often have Indigenous people on or displayed or shown in such everyday ways and on everyday items. So I wanted to do that. Yeah.
So one thing that I find really remarkable, it seems particular to the contemporary the community, like across Canada, is that there are so many connections. There's mentorships, there's friendships, people meet through exhibitions, beading symposiums, residencies like the ones you've both been at. And I know that when making art, there's many circles in all mediums of art making, but it really seems that it's a strong part of the contemporary scene in Canada, the sense of uplift for the community and such enthusiasm for what everyone's doing and making. And we've absolutely seen that with Marcy and Casey Friesen, who has worked in the front gallery, and that is the result of a mentorship as well. So I'm just wondering if you could comment on how do you see the sense of community informing the really exciting bead work that's happening right now?
It feels like it's everything right now. I was just in Thunder Bay at the beading symposium, and to be around other like-minded people, there's nothing like it. You just feel so comfortable and in your element, and you don't have to do anything to fit in or belong. You just and everybody is so uplifting and wants to see what you're what are you working on? What are you working on? And yeah, it's very powerful. It's super powerful. Yeah, very important. Yeah.
It's really interesting hanging out with the beading community because you learn so much. You learn I was at a symposium in Winnipeg. It was February, and then March was when the shutdown was for COVID, right? So I was just there just before COVID, and there were women who were using embroidery hoops and beading on that. And I had never seen that before. And as I'm getting arthritis in my hand, so my beading days are kind of coming to a close. But I thought that if I used an embroidery hoop, it might actually help my hand to hold it, and it wouldn't be so arduous. And then you learn about the latest things in beads and beading and who's doing what. And I started doing brain scans, and what I wanted them to do was to glow in the dark. I wanted that you put a black light on them and they glow. And so they look like you're looking in a screen at an actual scan. And so I wanted glow-in-the-dark beads. They weren't invented. I had to wait. And every year I'd go through all the beading places that I knew to see if they had invented them yet. And it took 3 years. And finally I found that Mayuki out of Japan had made them. It's only in 6 colors, which is kind of interesting, and to use for a scan, you don't want a whole bunch of different colors. And so they've been hugely popular, and they're I was trying to think of a visual to talk about mental health, because in Indigenous communities, we have a very large number of suicides amongst teens. And people believe that you can just get over it. Don't worry about it, I don't know why you're sleeping for days at a time. I don't know why you're so sad. You shouldn't be. Just, go out in the bush and you'll be happy. And that doesn't work. So I needed a visual that people could look at and see different areas of the brain and how they light up and that kind of thing. And so the brain scan is the one that I use. And so I have depression and panic and all these different things that happen in our brain. And I hope it helps. They're pretty to look at and interesting because they glow, but I wanted to go further than that. So
I think those are really helpful. I've seen those in Regina, and it was amazing the people that were like, okay, which ones do I have? And they would go and stand and get their photos taken beside whichever brain scan that really that they had, were living with, the different brain scans that you had done. So yeah, and I'm thinking about mentorship, and I'm seeing Linda Monahan over here. And So I started working as an artist in community with the city of Prince Albert. And Linda was a mentor. Yeah. So super grateful for that mentorship as well, because that has led me here as well. Yeah, definitely. I still work with the city of Prince Albert. So, yeah. And then Kaylee, of course, as well. Yeah. Such a pleasure.
Well, you
Thank you both for answering my question. Does anyone have any questions for Marcy and Ruth about their beading practices or the work that you're seeing here today?
Hi, my name's Bepsi. I have a question. After hearing your guys' mentorship story and how you met it, you're interesting. And this is my sister, Kaylee. So I was hoping you can tell us how you met Kaylee and kind of how it was mentoring her and was she's cool or not.
She's so cool. And so kind and generous and very thoughtful. And everything that Kaylee makes or does is so well thought out down to like absolutely everything. Like I'm the type of person people will be like, oh, why do you use the color red? What deep meaning do you have? And I'm like, I just love red. But no, Kaylee, she's like, she will have it down why she's using each and every color. But yeah, we met through, I was facilitating workshops and through Artist in Communities, City of Prince Albert. And yeah, that's where me and Kaylee got to know each other. You took off, yeah, beading your moccasins and yeah.
It was inspiring for us.
Oh my goodness. I am inspired by absolutely some people that I come in contact with. And when I make the moccasin, sometimes I use the spikes. And sometimes my friends are like the spikes. And then I use the fur trim, that's soft trim. And some friends are like that softness. But some are like that spike toe.
I was in New York. My son was in the Whitney Biennial, and so from there I went to Montreal to this show. And it's also the gallery that handles my work in Quebec. And I met this guy who did really interesting beadwork, and his name was Nico Williams. And Nico Williams is, he takes everyday materials and he beads them. And so I met him at the show, and he was telling me that he has these ideas and they're really big, and he doesn't know how he's going to do them. And I said, well, I hire artists. I hire beadworkers, and they help me with my work, especially if COVID was really busy. I made a lot of money. It was good for me. and so when I have extra ideas, I'll get beaders to do it. And so he thought that was a great idea, and he is doing some of the most amazing work. He does not bead onto something. He uses peyote stitch, and he makes, he made a J-cloth that you wouldn't believe. It beaded, a beaded J-cloth, and it's got oil on it, and he just stands this J-cloth up, and it's so amazing. He just takes everyday material and beads it. And so anyway, what happened to him was he set up the factory like Andy Warhol. He's got 6 beaders on payroll, and they just bead, and he's done amazing things. He, for Radical Stitch, he had 4 folding
Lawn chairs.
lawn chairs.
Yeah.
And the whole thing, the whole, where the cloth would be, it was fully beaded. And one had the fleur-de-lis of Quebec, and then there was another one with the maple leaf. What was the third one? There was 4 of them. But anyway, he had these life-size things. They're amazing. But there are so many beaders in Canada that have so many ideas. The breadth of what's happening is really amazing. And people are, especially the artists, are getting really great prices. And it's become elevated. Before, like, art galleries weren't interested in beadwork. They just thought it was nothing. And what's developing across Canada and the explosion of it it's truly amazing. Yeah. You better buy her work while it's still cheap. Not cheap. But the prices are going to go up.
Good deals today.
Just ask Art. He collects it.
That's okay.
Marcy Friesen, and she just ended her grandchild. It's the first one. With another gallery, we students of all ages. We're going to have pre-K to post-secondary, and then just as well students who are doing their grade 10 with gallery. What do you hope they will experience or maybe take away from this exhibition? I'd like to ask that to both of them. Or Ruth Cuthand, do you have any hopes for what's really near show?
They'll all start smoking. No.
Yeah, I kind of hope that they don't steal the smalls. No, as. I hope that they see that beadwork can be done in different ways, see that they can have fun with it.
They see that it's easy.
Yes.
Yeah, have that understanding of why certain things are done certain ways. I hope that they find inspiration. And I mean, in the title, Shoot the Breeze, I'd like people just to come in and just be comfortable in the space and just spend time with the pieces that they need to spend some time with. And maybe they have some questions, and I like that. I like when people have questions about what they see. I like them to question it. Yeah, and learn something. Yeah, thank you for that. It is all connected. You're right. And even maybe as I'm making, it isn't maybe until I have like a few pieces done and I'm like, I see a connection. I see the connection where it just seems to come naturally. And I always say the water calls me. Like, I love the water.
It's just so
It's exactly, that's exactly it. It's the most peaceful place. One of the most peaceful places where I just feel so comfortable in the water and at the water and listening to it. I'll close my eyes and just listen to it, feel that breeze, and just hear the water flowing. Yeah.
Go ahead, tell me first.
Okay, I was listening to your commentary and listening to your looking at your work and watching it in amazement, being very happy with what you are doing, what you've been developing for years. But it did a reflection on my time growing up in the 50s. We had a lot of beading in the community. My mother beading all kinds of things, school, from flowers and animals, dogs, all kinds of this nut, peas. So she used to do all kinds of different things, but a lot of women did a lot of beading. And during the period of time, it shifted. You always had a certain couple of people kept on doing it, but it did shift. And now I'm seeing, a re-emergence. taking place, today. And they're saying, of course, the different levels of technologies you have. So, thinking back on that one technology, the beaded stuff. And I was looking at what the free word for it is, and it's beads. But it's interesting when you were talking about indigenizing and water. That indeed beads, the free word beads comes from shells. It's from the shell. And a lot of times those shells which were in the water. And a lot of people thought they might be, and you see them on the shoreline. But if you travel to Mirage and anywhere where there used to be water before on hills up in Mirage, you will see the beads are on the shoreline, where the shoreline used to be thousands of years ago. And so you're seeing the migration of the beads, from the water to the shoreline, to there. And it's a very interesting dimension, looking at what you're doing on beadwork and seeing the changes you are making. Just a short period of time. But to see this long history of beads and how people would have used those beads, and then the interesting thing about pragmatics and practicality. The beads, come in and they change, with your more European style bands, because it's more easier to work in and more quicker to get into the dimension of symbolism or the domain of what you're seeing. So that's what I was reflecting upon in regards to your presentation. So I thought I would share that with you. I'm maybe look at that, really focusing on that bead itself, the history of that bead as moving forward.
Wow, yeah, thank you for sharing that. That's a really beautiful reflection that you had, and even tying it back to the connection of the bead to the shell, to the land, to the water. Yeah, I love that. And yeah, to focus on the bead itself, they're quite beautiful. And, but yeah, now I want to go find shells.
I was just along that line, the change in the bead. Italy was the first one that they traded with, and then I went to the Czech Republic. It's a giant beading place. They make beads because there are a lot of glass makers around Prague. And then Japan started making beads, and they made the delicas, which are smaller than, so the Czech bead is a donut, right? It's round, the sides are round, and delicas are made like a tube, so they're longer and they're thinner, and a lot of people really kind of went to them because they're made by a machine that is very exact, and so each bead is exactly the same. But the problem is, because they're cylinders, they don't do round shapes very well. That's where you need the Czech bead, because it's round, and then they have, every once in a while you'll find one that's larger, and then it goes skinny, and so you can use that one to make it curve. That's what I love about the Czech beads, is they're not exactly the same, and you get that diversity within the beads, and you can just slip one in here or there. But I've noticed that Mayuki is also a Japanese company, and they make the cylinders, but they also make the little donut round bead. And sometimes if I can't find the color I want in the Czech beads, I'll get a Mayuki donut bead. Yeah.
Two questions. In my world, segregation, I'm a scholar. Okay. But now if you were, thank you.
Don't even borrow it. You have it.
Yeah. Are you serious?
Yeah, I was going to give you one.
I guess my next question, thank you very much. Sorry, but now. So now, in reflection, because you said when you first met Cruz, there was a good yellow and a white room, and you didn't understand it.
Yeah.
You have an interpretation for it now?
Oh, yeah. I guess I should have ended that story with as I've created, as I've made different things, especially those first few moccasins that I made, the individual pieces. Yeah, I definitely have found that making has helped me be more confident in myself, in my culture. And yeah, so I found the purpose of art making definitely, and it helps me every single day, even with my, because it's so meditative, it's just so repetitive and just calms me right down, and just getting some of these pieces out of my head has helped a lot. Yeah.